Iran is launching their own centralized, central bank-backed cryptocurrency. Yay! Really exciting stuff for some maybe central bankers in Iran, but we're going to be breaking down why Iran is deciding to launch a cryptocurrency, what the implications are of that cryptocurrency, who's involved, and why it matters at all. Essentially, Iran wants to build their own cryptocurrency, which will be the Iranian version of the SWIFT network. Why do they want to do this? Well, Iran has basically been shut out of the global financial system. Iran is essentially trying to get ever closer to some kind of a workaround to US sanctions. Now, the big blow to Iran's economy came back in November when some of its banks were actually barred from the SWIFT network, which is a devastating situation for any country. Any country which is excluded from the SWIFT network cannot pay for things like imports or receive payments for exports, essentially, completely, financially crippling Iran. Sanctions are the classic form of financial censorship. And I know we talk a lot about sanctions, but in terms of an economic weapon, well, it doesn't get much more serious than sanctions. They are the #1 financial weapon in the world, basically. And you can agree or disagree with the politics of Iran. I know there's a lot of people out there who hold very strong opinions about Iran being a bad guy. And look, when it comes down to it, international politics are incredibly hypocritical, nothing really more than power games when it comes down to it, and cutting Iran out of the international financial system is a serious power move by the more powerful countries. And I don't want to get this to be a political conversation because it goes much beyond that. The idea of a cryptocurrency launched by a central bank, quite interesting in of itself for some various different reasons, but if you think that Iran deserves to be cut out of the international financial system, well, you are entitled to an opinion, but I would only ask you, why do you think that? Is it because of terrorism? Well, maybe that's a good reason for some people who think that it might be a good reason. But if you're outraged by things that Iran does, can I ask you, what is your opinion of the drone program, which mostly kills innocent civilians in developing countries? Or perhaps you think that Iran should be cut out of the international financial system because of their support of organizations like Hezbollah. Well, again, maybe you have a point there. But I hope that if you support that move, that you would also support similar measures for countries like Saudi Arabia over the genocide in Yemen, because that is basically worse than what Iran is doing by supporting groups like Hezbollah. But again, it's differences of politics when it comes down to it. And the important thing to note here is that this is all coming from one place, Washington. Because countries like Germany, they're tired of being told by Washington who they can and cannot be friends with, who they can and cannot do business with. It's crazy to think that a powerful third party can intervene in two countries trying to do business together. But that's exactly what's happening. And of course, the US administration has warned that there will be severe penalties for any companies who are trying to evade the imposed sanctions. So if you're a German company and you want to do business in Iran, well, and you do it, then you are going to be strictly punished by Washington for a transaction that they had nothing to do with. Anyway, you can agree or disagree with the politics, but the use case becomes very clear for cryptocurrencies. And in the same way that we saw the Venezuelan petro being sanctioned, yes, we're going to see the Iranian digital real also being sanctioned because no one is essentially allowed to challenge American supremacy, American corporate profits, or the petrodollar. It is a tired international order that we are currently living in, and most countries are sick of it. Therefore, they are looking for alternative regimes to things like the SWIFT network. And SWIFT wasn't that great anyway. 3 to 5 business days to clear a transaction? I mean, come on, is this 1990? What are we talking about? That was useful at one point, but that's not useful anymore. It doesn't work anymore. It has to be better than this. And it is. because we have cryptocurrencies. Now, Iran's cryptocurrency is expected to be rolled out in phases. First, as a rial-backed digital token. This, of course, be mainly focused on facilitating payments between Iranian banks and other Iranian institutions active in the cryptocurrency space. Later, we could possibly see this as an instrument for the Iranian public to actually pay for local goods and services. Now, it would not directly facilitate payments between Iran and other countries. That is the initial plan anyway for the Iranian digital rial. So, in terms of getting around sanctions, not immediately there with their initial plans for this cryptocurrency, but it could definitely lay the groundwork for a blockchain-based international payment system that could emerge as an alternative to SWIFT, because an alternative to SWIFT is definitely needed. And obviously that is the market that XRP is focusing on. Whether or not XRP will play along with the sanctions games when it comes to these kind of things remains to be seen. My guess is that, yeah, Ripple Labs is probably not going to sign a lot of partnerships with Iranian banks. Wouldn't really fit the narrative of what Ripple's trying to do in terms of being really going with the mainstream narrative. But because of sanctions, no matter what happens with the Iranian digital rial, you can be very much assured that it won't be hitting any credible international exchanges due to the sanctions regime. We've already seen some cryptocurrency exchanges say that they're shutting down operations inside of Iran because of US pressure or simply fear of US backlash. Anyway, it's probably going to fail to give ordinary Iranians the international reach that they would really, really like to have in terms of being able to do business. Decentralized peer-to-peer finance could definitely be the way here. Things like local bitcoins or Paxful could be great markets for people in Iran to access real, permissionless, censorship-resistant money. Because you have to remember that this is going to be controlled by the Central Bank of Iran, and it's going to be built on a private blockchain. So in terms of fitting all the things we like to see happening with the cryptocurrency, it doesn't really meet those standards. But there are a lot of people who are interested in seeing the Iranian digital rial become a reality. Currently, reports say anyway that they are negotiating with 8 countries to carry out financial transactions in the cryptocurrency. So again, it will be on a trial period before we actually see real international settlements happening in it. But to see the trials happening are pretty cool. And obviously, the ability to circumvent sanctions, very, very powerful use case of cryptocurrencies. Now, the countries that they're currently talking to: Switzerland, South Africa, France, the United Kingdom, Russia, Austria, Germany, and Bosnia. Interesting group of countries. You might think, oh yeah, but you know, Russia and Iran, they're both bad guys, so of course they're going to be doing that. Okay, what about Germany? What about the UK? What about France? What about Switzerland and South Africa? They're generally not considered to be the bad guys. They're just tired of being dictated who they can and cannot do business with. Because it's ridiculous. It's 2019. We have all this technology and someone over there is still saying, hey, you're not allowed to be friends with that person. Again, politics aside, because you look at the politics and you either agree with one nation or you agree with another nation. But the reality of decentralized peer-to-peer money is that you don't need someone sitting there to say, hey, you're allowed to do business or you're not allowed to do business with that person. Now, Russia is also reportedly considering launching a Eurasian Economic Union backed digital currency, similar to what we might see happening with the Iranian digital rial. This is supported by Belarus, Kazakhstan, Armenia, and Kyrgyzstan. Also, Iran did sign a trilateral blockchain cooperation agreement with Russia and Armenia. Now, in terms of figuring out exactly what's going to happen here, we see the central bank saying, well, it may not be used for international settlements. Then, of course, on the other side, you have them exploring international settlements. So I think it's going to be used for international settlements. Maybe they don't want to spoil the party before it happens. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Russia is actively working with partners to establish financial systems that are fully independent of SWIFT. That's pretty cool. And of course, the US does not want this to happen. We saw the Blocking Iranian Illicit Finance Act, introduced by Senator Ted Cruz back in December, essentially pre-sanctioning Iran's upcoming cryptocurrency. There you go. Before it even gets launched, we're just going to let you know, we're going to sanction that when it comes out. Just so you're aware, Iran. Will it stop a country like Russia from working and doing business with them? No, it won't. Will it stop countries like France, Germany, and the UK from using that? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, they're big trading partners of the US, but I don't like it. I don't think that they should be able to block that. And obviously, it's not going to be able to be directly blocked like it is with SWIFT, but there will be repercussions for German companies or French companies or British companies that do use a decentralized ledger to be operating with these companies, because the US will find out it's what they do, and then they'll say, hey, we passed sanctions. You guys were supposed to do that. We told you what you have to do, Germany. We told you what you have to do, France, and you're not listening to us. Why aren't you listening to us? That'll, of course, be the response. At some point, the dominance of the dollar is going to end. At some point, the dominance of the US-controlled financial system is going to come to an end. Decentralized systems are going to be a big part of that. And I think it's a good thing. There's no reason that one country should be dominating the globe financially. It's not good for business. It's not good for competition. And it's not good for helping lift the billions of people around the world who are geographically fenced into their little regions out of poverty. Give people the tools. They'll figure it out. They know. People don't want handouts. People don't want to also be excluded because of government policies. But I think, of course, Iran would just be better off using Bitcoin. But you know governments, guys, they have to control the money supply. They have to be in charge of everything. They have to look over everyone's shoulders. What are you doing? And Iran is no exception to that. Obviously, Iran wants to control how their citizens are spending their money, where they're spending it, who they're sending it to, if they're sending it abroad. In fact, Iran did come out as being quite anti-Bitcoin last year, specifically because they were worried about capital flight, about people basically cashing their money and assets into Bitcoin and then sending it overseas. So that was a worry. Therefore, they made it very difficult for people to buy Bitcoin inside of Iran. But the mood does seem to be softening. The central bank just the other day has recognized and authorized global cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin. So it's a thing now. You're allowed to have this asset, and the bank's not going to try and crack down on you for having that. This could, of course, just be as a complementary thing, but they're also looking at how to authorize things like initial coin offerings, different tokens, cryptocurrency wallets, cryptocurrency exchanges. So we might see Iranian cryptocurrency exchanges, or some of the exchanges that have been more afraid of doing business inside Iran come back. But again, they still might be afraid of some kind of US government backlash if they're caught operating inside of Iran. So there is that, without a doubt. Now, the new proposals that are being put forth by the central bank are going to be coming out here in the near future. And of course, when they do come out, they will nullify last year's blanket ban on Bitcoin. But the central bank did come out saying that using global cryptocurrencies as methods of payment inside the country is prohibited. So if you are an Iranian cafe owner, you are not allowed to put up a sign, Bitcoin accepted here. If so, you might find yourself getting in trouble because it's not recognized as a form of payment inside the country. So maybe I won't be doing a 72-hour Bitcoin challenge vlog inside of Iran anytime soon. Obviously, this is partially to prevent more loss of the rial as people try and get money out of the country because of the ongoing sanctions. What we're talking about right now, this isn't going to have an effect for a while. Remember, they're just in conversations with international partners in terms of using digital currencies for settlements. We're far away from that actually happening. And until that happens, Iran is still cut out of the international financial system. They're still prohibited from working with SWIFT, which is the dominant player when it comes to international transactions. So that's something to keep in mind. And the government is also talking about limiting the amount of cryptocurrencies that people can hold. Currently, they're officially prohibited, for example, from holding more than 10,000 euros. So we might see a situation where people are prohibited from holding, more than one Bitcoin or more than $10,000 of the Bitcoin. So if your Bitcoin goes up, you have to sell some of your Bitcoin so you don't get in trouble with the cops. And I don't like the restrictions. I'm not surprised about the restrictions, but I don't like them. Freedom for everybody, everywhere, in every country. Give Bitcoin, let people make their own financial decisions. The fact that we have these hypocritical, cynical, power-hungry governments in every country trying to dictate what you are and are not allowed to do with your money, it's ridiculous. It's 2019, guys. It's 2019. but it continues. Anyway, just my opinions on what is happening in Iran and a bit of an update about the situation for you. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think that the Iranian central bank-backed cryptocurrency is anyway going to be a good thing? I am very suspicious of any central bank-backed cryptocurrency, but it could help them evade sanctions. So we'll see. Could be a good thing in the long run. You'll let me know about it down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You guys are super awesome, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come over here and watch this video. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up on it. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. You can also hit that notification bell to know when I put out a new video. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.